Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, I'm going to be breaking down and recapping the brand new reality TV show on Netflix, Surviving Paradise. I'm going to break down my thoughts on the series, share whether or not I believe you should check it out. Before we dive into the show, folks, if you are watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, drop a comment if you don't mind, hit the subscribe as well. If you're listening over on any podcast platforms, if you could do me just a kind favor of dropping a little 5-star review, maybe a little bit of remark about the show, I would greatly appreciate it as well. It goes a long way to get this podcast in other people's ears, and I would love that very much so, because you know what? We all love this reality TV world, and I'm very, very excited to break down some things in the very near future. If you're listening here on the YouTube channel or if you're listening to the podcast, I have a very, very fun breakdown of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 13 episode 1 that I dropped on my channel. I had never ever watched an episode of this show in my entire existence, and I watched it for the first time, dove right into season 13 episode 1. Would love for you guys to listen to that. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into Surviving Paradise. 12 contestants believe that they're about to live it up for summer at a beautiful villa. If they excel in some challenges and secure strong alliances, they'll have a chance to compete for $100,000 cash. So we're introduced to the cast, and it's got a too hot to handle vibe. You get some people coming in, you get some people chitter-chattering. You see this luxury house that is absolutely stunning. Like, it is an absolutely beautiful house. Just like Too Hot to Handle, we get a countdown. Someone informs them what their plan is going to be on the show. Obviously, we have a host come in and let them know that none of them are living in the house yet. They will have to survive on the outskirts of paradise on only rice and beans. Their alliances are important as they can vote for people to get into the villa, but you can be booted out equally as fast as you get in. So the vote quickly happens here in our first one, and this is where we start to see people kind of, hone in on these alliances. A lot of these people came in with another person or two people, so those people kind of patched up together. And then on this side of things, you had people patching up and jockeying for position very, very fast. We saw where we were going to have the go-getters, the people that were going to play the game to their best of abilities, and then the other people that kind of just stayed in the back or whatever, maybe just joined an alliance, just to join an alliance or whatever have you. We had our first vote. Lalisa won the first vote, won with 3 votes. As a result, she got to pick 3 people to go in with her. So as you won things, you could kind of bring people in, but there's some twists and turns that doesn't always allow you to pick somebody else that's coming in. Sometimes if you get voted, somebody gets voted into the house, the second place runner-up got to come in as well. So there was one particular person that was playing the game from jump, and that was Tabitha. I love a good game player who's trying to manipulate their way to the top. Now look, I'll be honest, they kind of got annoying. Okay, there is an element of playing the game, and then there's an element of taking it over the top. And we see this periodically throughout the game where they just take it completely over the top. And sometimes it works, and then sometimes they really just fall flat on their face. But Tabitha was your villainish character for this entire show. I would not be surprised if a lot of people walk away from this show and are not happy with their performance, I guess you could even say, somewhat in this show. But I was a fan. I always love a villain. I'm always going to root for a villain. So I kind of enjoyed that. Throughout the game, you had survival drops. Somebody would head to these survival drops, and you would kind of have an option. In this one particular case, early on in the game, you had a crate that 2 individuals, one of the crates had food that you ate right now, or you had food in this basket or in this crate that you could bring back to your team. They could eat it, but you couldn't. Now, there was some smart gameplays within these, because if you do a selfless act, people are going to remember that. I'm going to vote you into the house because that one time you did that one thing for me. So that played a big instance in these battles, and you can kind of see that. Throughout the show, we have some newbies thrown into the mix. which made for an interesting twist because alliances had to kind of take a step back. You would see who would kind of bounce on top of that new prey. Around the fourth episode, we had the prize money doubled to $200,000. And I'm not going to break down every detail of everything that happened in the show. I just want to give you some tidbits, my thoughts on some of the things. Tabitha, speaking of Tabitha, they had a battle with Lalisa so many times. And some people would not see right through Tabitha's lies. And then other people like Lalisa would be like, either she would call her on her shit. There was one time that they had the option of to leave the villa and bring toothbrushes to the people living outside. Like they were called insiders and outsiders. So that but you would have to sacrifice your spot in the villa. And apparently you couldn't win the money without being in the villa. You got to sacrifice your spot in the villa and bring toothbrushes to the people on the outskirts. Now these people don't have anything to bathe with, nothing. So toothbrushes would have went a long way. And Tabitha just really brought this story. Oh, I would love to be that person and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like Lalisa's the only person here that has alliances back there that could get her right back in the house. And they poured it on heavy. But Lalisa's like, you know what? I hear you, but I'm going to call you on your bullshit because you know that you have just as many people out there as I do to help you get back in this house. So it's definitely interesting to hear her kind of call her out on their shit. So it was funny. There was one instance, I posted this on my TikTok at Ricky Valera _ you can see it. But these folks get so emotional over nothing. I liked the challenges in some aspects, but I kind of expected more. However, there was one specific challenge where you got a crate. These people that were inside the villa got a crate. Inside the crate, it said a couple different things. One, it would say you go back to the villa. The other crate could potentially say go to the outdoors. And then there was another crate that we see that somebody opens and it's to be eliminated, right? Shock the world right there. But once you open your crate, you have to convince whether it's lying or being honest with the opposite person to get them to either A, take your crate or say no to your crate. So we saw a couple of instances where some people play the game and like, oh my God, please don't take the crate. I don't want you to go, have to be outside, or please take the crate. I want you to be in the villa. But there was one particular instance between this Taylor girl and Shay. It was down to these two, and she opened the crate and it was like to be eliminated. So then she freaked out and was just crying. Please don't take this crate. I don't want you to take this crate. Please don't. It was insane. It was insane. But all these folks were getting all emotional over someone being eliminated. It was pretty crazy. All right, folks, what I want to do right here is I want to pause for like 10 seconds. I'm about to tell you who won the show, how they won the show, and some of the aftermath. So if you want to stop right here, go back and watch the show without finding out who won, here's your opportunity. One last opportunity here. If you're listening to the show and maybe you want to watch Surviving Paradise for your own good and find out who won that way, that's perfectly fine. If not, let's dive into. So in the 2 hours leading up to the finale here, there were 11 previous eliminated players would cast a secret vote to choose the winner. In a 6-4 split, Linda ended up beating Shay. She came out on top. Before she could take a victory lap, our host, Jessie May, had one last twist to reveal. Linda had to decide whether to split the $200,000 with another player for choosing or accept an increased $250,000 prize, all for herself. Now, Linda said, I've played this game very selflessly and I have no regrets in that. She split the money with Lalisa. Lalise. To me, absolutely mind-boggling. I don't hate it. I understand that. Now let's think about this. $100,000 after taxes, you're looking at maybe 60 grand. Sure, that's a lot of money, not gonna lie. $250,000? No way. I'm sorry. I'm not sacrificing any. I'm getting 50 more grand. Take that 50 grand out for the taxes. I'm walking away with $200,000. It was 150, 180. It doesn't matter. You crazy. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I understand it's all about the good aspect of life, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, I'm walking away with the $200,000. If you're watching the YouTube channel, let me know what you would do. I would love to hear your thoughts. Overall, Surviving Paradise, very, very easy binge, 9 episodes. It's kind of a breeze to watch, about 40, 45-minute episodes. It's not great, it's not perfect, but I do think it's something that we can utilize and they can kind of toy with the idea moving forward to bring back another season of the show. Folks, that's it for this episode of the Love and Reality Podcast. If you liked the show, give me some feedback. Hit me up over on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at @RickyVler_ across the board. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode, and I will be back next week.